Welcome to Between the Lines with James Spady, head football coach, Alabama A&M University. 30 minutes of highlights, features, and analysis of Alabama A&M Bulldog football. And now with your host, Ted Dixie, Between the Lines with Coach James Spady.
Hello there, and welcome to Between the Lines with James Spady. I'm your host, Ted Dixie. The Bulldogs journeyed to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to play Southern University. It was Southern's homecoming, but right off the top, Coach, we need an explanation of what targeting actually is.
Okay, so the way I understand it is when you have a runner, anybody who is running the football or for a quarterback who's throwing the football, when they become defenseless, they might be in the grasp or they're getting ready to go down. When they become defenseless, you're not allowed to launch. You're not allowed to use the crown of your helmet. You're not allowed to use your body as a projectile or use your helmet as a weapon in that case, because the defenseless runner can't do anything to protect himself. So it's my understanding that any activity that mimics that explanation is targeting.
And so with the concern that you have with your players, Coach Spady, when something like that happens on the field, naturally you're going to react.
Well, of course. It's a safety thing. And it's the responsibility of the officiating crew to make sure they legislate safety for our football players and the other teams as well. I mean, so that's their responsibility, and I'm going to hold them accountable if I can.
Now, there's two sides to that. Mr. Cooper from the SWAC office told us during the game that the targeting penalty actually now has been refined, but it needs instant replay to go along with that because they have to decide if a student athlete has to be suspended for the next game or not.
Yeah, well, an ejection comes with a automatic suspension in the next game, and so a lot of times what they'll do is if there's a targeting foul, if there's a something like that, then they would go to the video to find out whether or not it was an ejectable offense. Because sometimes you can have a targeting and get penalized for it, but the young man that did that was not deemed ejectable. I guess is that a word? I just made up a word.
We'll take that one.
And so they'll look at that on the video to decide. And I think we didn't have that available yesterday.
Now, Coach, you call football not a contact sport, but a collision sport. So hard hits kind of are expected on both sides.
Absolutely. It's a very violent sport. And it's a collision sport, and you have to protect those kids.
And in protecting those kids, Coach, sometimes we see someone may call it being overzealous, but again, it's for the concern of the safety of the student athlete.
It's 100% for the concern. You've seen those old football players walking around and they have trick knees, or they're dealing with memory issues and stuff like that. And it was put in place so that we would be a little more overzealous about protection of our football players. And again, I take that very seriously.
So when we come back, we'll take a look at the first half highlights from the Bulldogs game against Southern University and A&M College down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, when we come back on Between the Lines with James Spady.
Darryl brings new energy to the power plant. Julian's accounting is by the numbers. They're student interns from the College of Business and Public Affairs at Alabama A&M University, where marketing class connects with the community and companies come to recruit. So while Kyle strengthens his managerial skills, he's earning a business degree and experience at Alabama A&M University. Start here, go anywhere.
90.9 WJAB FM Huntsville.
100,000 watts, 24 hours a day.
Smooth jazz and cool vocals.
I'm just a prisoner of love.
I get misty just holding your hand.
90.9 WJAB.
From the campus of Alabama A&M University.
Parker is 29 and learning to communicate again. The students teaching him earn a degree with 100% job placement. But the real reward is changing a life. At Alabama A&M, it's a university where agencies actually go to recruit compassionate students who help themselves by helping others. Service is sovereignty at Alabama A&M University. Start here, go anywhere.
Thank you for watching and welcome back to Between the Lines with James Spady. I'm Ted Dixie. Coach, we had a change in kickoff coming up to this game. We're supposed to be a 6 o'clock kick. We moved it back to 1 o'clock because of Tropical Storm, then Hurricane Nate.
Well, I'm so glad they did. Right there about the fourth quarter, we had really pleasant weather up until about, halfway through the fourth quarter. Saw some clouds roll in, and it got pretty ugly there for a while. But if we hadn't moved it up, can you imagine the weather would have not cooperated? And it was already pretty hot. It was really very hot and humid. The air was thick, and those were not kind conditions, really, to be honest with you. But it stayed dry up until that point.
And then, Coach, with moving the game schedule around, but you're an early morning team, that really didn't affect you in that regard.
I mean, when anytime you get on a bus and go eight and a half hours away, you have to be very precise about what time you do things so that you can get the requisite amount of rest and hydration and all that kind of recovery time and all that. And so, it threw a little bit of a monkey wrench in the plans, but I don't know. We'll go back and evaluate that, and so that if we have another 8-hour trip, we have a plan in mind.
Sometimes it seems that we get the worst weather of the season down at Southern, but we're definitely appreciative to Alabama State Trooper Curtis Somerville and the drivers from Spirit Coach, Sam, Sylvester, and Erskine, for getting us down there and also getting us back in some very bad weather coming home.
Yeah, a lot of folks are glad we made it back safely.
Definitely.
A lot of folks.
And then the opening kickoff, Coach, after Southern wins the toss, this is the longest kick return against the Bulldogs on the season.
Yeah, we had been really very good with our coverage teams, and put a lot of work into that, and hate to see that, but defense is playing lights out at this point. Boy, I tell you, they're making plays all over the field, and make no mistake about it, Southern has a lot of offensive weapons, and they have a really good quarterback or two. And right. Then they've got some guys that can make some plays, and our defense really held their own.
Southern did play 2 quarterbacks, as we see the second quarterback here right now on their drive, opening 2 drives of the game, Coach. Does that affect your game planning and not knowing, because looking at the statistics, we saw Southern had 5 people that would throw the football?
Well, I don't know if it affects it in terms of not knowing. I think we have a pretty good idea of who can do what in their offense, and Coach Pearson kind of they'll make calls based on exactly that. I heard him on the sideline Saturday saying, the running quarterback is in, and so on and so forth. So, I think they do a good job of designing their game plans to adhere to that information.
The Bulldogs trailed 7-0, and that was the score for several clicks on the clock, Coach. The defense keeping you in the ball game.
Yeah, we could not match the defensive output with our offense, and we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what we can do to, accelerate the offense, put our foot on the gas offensively, because you leave your defense in a bind if they're playing really well, and then you can't sustain drives or score points, then you really kind of hang them out to dry. And so we got to get better on offense.
Dry being the operative word. Expecting inclement weather during the ball game, that was not the case, as Coach mentioned earlier, as Southern goes up 14-0 on the Bulldogs.
But I thought they just missed a field goal right there, and again, another win by our defense. They drove the ball down. Our defense made them come up empty, keeping us at a 7-0 deficit. And then, we're trying to throw some possession routes here, try to get our quarterback in rhythm, and just to see if we could generate some offense. And I tell you, we threw that screen right there in the long yardage situation. We've had success with that to this point. I got to go back and kind of analyze the film, figure out what was wrong with it, but didn't give us a chance to convert there.
Now, this is where using your backup quarterback in tight situations pays off. You make a quarterback change. Akil Glass only had 44 yards passing on the day, and then you go to Damian May, who leads a touchdown drive.
Well, remember that that was always in the plan to use Damian in the offense. We're really even trying to look at maybe getting Dylan involved as well, Dylan Smith involved as well. And we're right now our DNA is to be a multiple quarterback system, and we're going to force defenses to have to plan for us as well. So that was always in the plan, especially for the fact that our passing game was struggling early on to, throw and catch and convert. And so, you want to bring some juice to the offense, and so sometimes you can do that by making a change at quarterback.
You have a true freshman at quarterback, Aquil Glass from St. Louis, Missouri. So you have to also manage not only his performance, but his psyche as well, Coach.
I think so. I mean, but this guy, the reason why we named him our starter is because he has a quarterback mentality. Never gets too high, never gets too low. And so, just having him have that quarterback mindset is a bonus. This is a really good play right here. He completed I think it was a slant to Isaiah Bailey. And Isaiah caught it and ran with it. And he's got some of the best hands on the football team. So to me, just to try and get those guys the ball, makes them a weapon, makes them formidable. If we can continue to do that consistently, then, you don't hang your defense out to dry. You wind up having a team effort.
Isaiah Bailey had 143 receiving yards, and his second touchdown as a Bulldog, Coach, made several key grabs during the game. One pass he caught while he was lying on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good day catching the football. And if we'd had one or two more guys, I tell you, Octavius was dealing with a rib injury. I think it's a rib. Maybe it's the muscle in between the rib or something. He was dealing with that, so he wasn't at full strength. And then you saw what happened to Marcellus Clash in the second targeting situation during the game. So he had to shake some cobwebs. We were able to get him back second. Anyway, long story short, our wide receiver core was not at full strength yesterday.
And so the Bulldogs going into the locker room, you're down, Coach, no concern about the weather, but you're trying to get your offense on track.
Well, one play at a time. And you sense a theme here. We talk about being 1-0 every week.
Right.
You can't get those 14 or 21 points back all at once.
That's right.
So just play one play at a time. Let's see if we can get our energy up, we can get our intensity level high for one play, and then repeat. And that's what we talked about in the locker room. Don't look at the scoreboard. I don't care what happened to this point. Let's go back out here. We're going to get the balls first and second half. Let's go back out here and let's just play the first play. And then we'll play the second play. And then we'll play the third play. One play at a time. Let's see what happens.
And what Southern, Coach, is a very unique setup for visiting teams. We actually have to walk down the street to get back to the locker room.
Boy, I can't do it justice. It's a walk. It's a major, it's a thing.
And that does take away from your preparation time at halftime, right?
At halftime and at pregame, and you've got to account for the walk time in your planning, and that makes it difficult. But hey, not complaining.
So when we come back, we'll take a look at the second half highlights and then get you ready for the Bulldogs' next home opponent, Mississippi Valley State. That happens on this Saturday afternoon. Kickoff is scheduled for 2:00 p.m. The pregame show may be heard right on 90.9 FM WJAB beginning at 1:30 p.m. When we come back on Between the Lines with James Spady.
Engineering and science usually look like this, but our students build race cars from the ground up, explore wind tunnels, particle accelerators, and crystal growth. Our studies in cybersecurity and rocket propulsion have tech companies like Google and SpaceX recruiting at Alabama A&M University, with one of the highest percentages of women STEM graduates in the country. Alabama A&M University. Start here, go anywhere.
90.9 WJAB FM Huntsville.
100,000 watts, 24 hours a day.
Smooth jazz and cool vocals.
Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you.
90.9 FM WJAB.
For the campus of Alabama A&M University.
Companies hunger for our food scientists. Here, a new generation manages our cities of tomorrow. The discovery of hardier plants, healthier animals, is growing at our research station, Alabama A&M University, where new designs and ideas are put to the test. Be a researcher in our labs or a forestry fire dog in our fields. Alabama A&M University. Start here, go anywhere.
Thank you for watching and welcome back to Between the Lines with James Spady. I'm Ted Dixie. Coach, I was negligent in not announcing the team captains for the game. Number 12, Devontae King. Number 59, Chaz Wilson, who's from Baton Rouge. His mom makes some good fried chicken, I hear. Number 18, Mike Mills, and number 8, Octavius Miles, who's had stellar games, and you elect your team captains every week, and it's a big deal.
So we took a different approach this year. Instead of having permanent team captains, we felt like we could use the captaincy as a reward for somebody having a great week of practice, somebody having a great game last week, and we have a leadership group. A group of guys on our football team who all have fantastic grades, who are stellar citizens, who have the ear of the football team. We get together every Thursday and we vote on who they want to elect as their captains for this week. And again, I think it's a real unique honor for the young men on our football team, and I hope that they'll take it that way. I can tell you that they take a lot of pride in it. Those guys get to eat first on the road. They get to, dictate policy to a certain extent. And, I ask them what they want to do with the toss if we win or if we're going to defer.
Right, all the time.
But again, it's an honor for them, and it means that their peers recognize their leadership and what they're doing on the field and in the classroom, and I think it's very important.
And speaking of the toss, since the Bulldogs did not win the toss in the first half, you get the choice in the second half. You're going to take the football. And for those of us watching, Coach, we still feel something's going to happen, and we're waiting to see it in the second half, and you come out with Damian May at quarterback.
We certainly did. We felt like we needed to find a spark for the offense. At this point, we're playing really good defense, and we just need to bring the offense to the party. And so we brought Damian in as prescribed. I mean, we were going to bring him in anyway. But we brought Damian in to start the second half because he lends another element, the ability to run the football from the quarterback position. And, again, just trying to provide a lift and just try to get a little bit better so we can support our defense.
And, of course, a big shout to one of my favorite student athletes, Dylan Hamilton, 2 sacks on the day. Devontae King, 7 tackles. Harvey Harris, 7 tackles. A lot of people around the football, and they did keep us in the ball game.
Yeah, those guys show up every week. I mean, they really do. Devontae King and Dylan Hamilton, and you said Harvey Harris was the other one. They show up every week. It's good to see those guys have great games, but to watch them, kind of navigate their way through this defense, those are the leaders on defense.
Good job by Rod Randolph here on the catch and run.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we felt like, making the quarterback switch would do. Damian has a little more mobility, and we're throwing the kind of passing game here that allows us to put the ball on the perimeter and let those guys catch it and run with it.
Good job by Ladarian Heath stretching out near the goal line as Trayvon Walters gets the touchdown on the dive.
Yeah, Trayvon is a guy, he real competitive dude. He wants to win. He wants to be successful. And we ran a play where he dove over the pile on the first shot, didn't get it. And then we ran the exact same play again, and he was able to take it over for the touchdown. That was huge for us because we needed that right at that time.
We might have to start calling Mr. Walters airborne. Last week he did a somersault into the end zone.
I think he likes the spectacularness. I made up a word again.
Okay.
I think he likes that, but you know what? It's functional. He's going to score by any means necessary, and that's real important, man.
Aren't those kind of plays, though, Coach, good to show the other team because you're talking about your ability and making people have to plan for you?
You bet. How about that coverage by our kickoff coverage team, tackling the ball inside the 10-yard line? I think that's every coverage team's goal.
This is a very important drive here. You get pressure on Howard, the quarterback. Southern's trying to mount another drive, but you're trying to get back into the ball game.
And we're trying to do our best to demoralize them to a certain extent, okay? Because they've got a lot of confidence going right now. They're ahead of us. They're beating us on the scoreboard. The idea defensively is to take some of that from them, and boy, we're hitting right there, aren't we?
Man, bringing that lumber, Coach.
Take some of that from them, and hopefully we'll catch a spark. And then find a way to, one play at a time, find a way to come back and make this a fairly even have us go ahead type of ball game.
An exciting kickoff return here by Harvey Harris, coach, going from one side of the field to the other, showing his speed.
Well, Harvey can run, so just to watch him do stuff like that, you know, he's a threat to catch the ball. Look at Isaiah catching the ball, laying on the ground right there. That's real great concentration.
The junior college transfer from California, coach, you have student athletes from around the nation, but it's good to have someone play in front of their home crowd like Chaz Wilson was able to do this past week.
Yeah, that's always awesome. I mean, can you imagine if you were a college football player and you get all your family and friends and your girlfriends and all that kind of stuff coming to the game? Yeah, I hope I didn't say anything wrong, Chaz. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. We've done it before.
But you know, it's an awful special situation for you to get a chance to do something like that, and it's really nice. LaDarian Heath right there on the crossing route, he catches that ball and kind of not pulled it, not tore it or anything, but he did something to his hamstring right there. And, or else that's going to be a bigger play than it was.
We saw earlier in the game, and here's a great throw, catch, run, touchdown, Bulldogs. Great pass, great catch.
Great throw. He put it in the only place it could be and be successful. And then, great catch by Isaiah, great run. And there's another situation there. He caught the ball. The defender, he scored the touchdown. The defender still tackled him 9 yards deep in the end zone. I mean, that's the kind of protection that has to be provided by our officials. They got to throw a flag in that situation because they have to deter that activity from happening again. And the fact that they didn't do it disturbs me.
And that ends up snowballing in some cases, Coach. If student athletes start taking liberties, if they're not called on it, people talk about a chippy ball game.
If he can do it, I can do it.
That's right.
And then, like you said, it snowballs. And I got to tell you, though, Dawson Odoms is a friend of mine. He's a very good football coach. He's an excellent man. I mean, just a great man, a family man, and it was good to see friends in the coaching profession. It's tough to beat your good friend.
That's right.
And so that's what he told me right there at the handshake. He said, "I'm sorry," and I'm like, "No, don't be sorry. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to try to win the game." And all credit to that football team. They came out ready to play. And they really set a standard, really, with their play in the first half. And that's what we need to get to. We need to come out at the beginning of football games, and we've had that at times this year.
That's true.
And come out at the beginning of football games and set a pace, set a rhythm, a tempo that the other team cannot match. And as hard as they try, they can't catch up to it. And I felt like that's what Southern did, and that credit is due to Coach Odom and his staff. And those young men who were motivated because it was homecoming.
Now you're back to setting tempo, if you will, Coach. 2-1 of the conference now, still in the hunt for the Eastern Division, but that starts again this Saturday when Valley comes to town.
Okay, so I don't like talking about ahead.
That's right.
We're going to be 1-0 this week, and that's the way we will scratch and claw our way back into things. All is not lost. We still have our goals in front of us, and I told the team that after the game on Saturday.
Okay.
Don't let one turn into two.
That's right.
Make sure you keep your focus, and let's go 1-0 again this week. We get a chance to do it at home.
The Bulldogs' chance at home is against Mississippi Valley State, and we come back. We'll talk more about the Bulldogs' next upcoming opponent on Between the Lines with James Spady.
Darryl brings new energy to the power plant. Julian's accounting is by the numbers. They're student interns from the College of Business and Public Affairs at Alabama A&M University, where marketing class connects with the community and companies come to recruit. So while Kyle strengthens his managerial skills, he's earning a business degree and experience at Alabama A&M University. Start here, go anywhere.
90.9 WJAB FM Huntsville.
100,000 watts, 24 hours a day.
Smooth jazz and cool vocals.
And the home of mellow madness till midnight.
You bring me joy.
90.9 WJAB.
From the campus of Alabama A&M University.
Engineering and science usually look like this, but our students build race cars from the ground up, explore wind tunnels, particle accelerators, and crystal growth. Our studies in cybersecurity and rocket propulsion have tech companies like Google and SpaceX recruiting at Alabama A&M University, with one of the highest percentages of women STEM graduates in the country. Alabama A&M University. Start here, go anywhere.
Thank you for watching and welcome back to Between the Lines with James Spady. I'm Ted Dixie. The Bulldogs' next opponent will be Mississippi Valley State. The Delta Devils come to town this Saturday. Kickoff is scheduled for 2 o'clock p.m. The pregame show may be heard on 90.9 FM WJAB at 1:30 p.m. Coach Willie Totten, who was just named a trailblazer at Valley, now gets to entertain his folks.
Yeah, and you know what? Nobody wants to beat Valley more than him. I mean, you know, that's his alma mater, and it's something that's really important to him, and being honored as a trailblazer is a huge, huge thing, and we're proud of him for that. But nothing would make him more happy than for us to be able to beat Mississippi Valley this weekend.
Of course, the Bulldog faithful need to have their face in the place and their feet on the concrete. Coach, coming back home, you mentioned before you'd like games that can give you some confidence going forward. Would this be the second phase of that?
I don't know. I mean, here's what we want. We want to get the nasty taste out of our mouth. We want to shake the responsibility of having dropped a conference game. And the way to do that is to get out there and play again the next game. And so we're getting excited about being able to play here at Louis Cruz in front of an opponent that we feel like we'd have a chance to be successful against. And no disrespect to Mississippi Valley.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it is at home. You want to get back to that. And no, folks, this is not a show filmed in front of a live studio audience. You hear the coaching staff in the background. They're already here on Sunday morning trying to get ready.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what we do. Sunday and Monday are huge days for us in terms of planning, because we've got to put the last game to bed, and then we've got to start on the next game. We do that all on Sunday, breaking down the opponent's film. This is the first chance I'll get to look at Mississippi Valley today. But that's after we put Southern to bed. We've got to watch a film with our kids and learn what we can learn that we can take going forward, make the corrections and all that kind of stuff today. And so it's going to be a long day, but that's what we do. Again,
we would like to thank Alabama State Trooper Curtis Somerville and, of course, our drivers, Sam, Sylvester, and Erskine from Spirit Coach for getting us safely up and down the highway. Folks, you have no idea the things that can occur.
And it was no easy task. We drove through some pretty severe weather, did we not?
We did, Coach, trying to get
those guys did a good job.
So thank you again, Coach, for spending time with us. Thank you for watching. Hopefully next week we'll be talking about another Bulldog victory right here on Between the Lines with James Spady.
90.9 WJAB FM Huntsville.
100,000 watts, 24 hours a day.
Smooth jazz and cool vocals.
And the home of mellow madness till midnight.
You bring me joy.
90.9 WJAB.
From the campus of Alabama A&M University.